Hey everybody, aloha. I'm calling you from my home, which is Honolulu, Hawaii. And when you come here, you must visit me. Anyways, I do have only one real request, and the request is that if you can, meaning if it's possible, I meaning if you have clothes on, please turn your camera on. Love to see you. Alrighty. So only if you have clothes on. Now, if you don't have clothes on, then yeah, you don't have to turn your camera on. But I love to see everybody's smiling faces. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Melissa. All right, let's get going here. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Dan Ihara. I am the leader of KW Real Estate Planner. It's a community within Keller Williams where we teach people how to build, protect, and transfer wealth. And so we focus on the wealthy. Most of our businesses really focus on how do you attract more listings, right? I run a business for 20 years. I've been a realtor. Just like you, I go to listing appointments just like you. We are the number one team in Hawaii. We'll do anywhere between 80 to 100 units a year. Top side was about 150 during the pre-COVID. I'm a MAPS coach. I do a class called Securing Listings with the Wealthy. At the end of this, you'll see how you could register. And I've been really blessed to be part of Gary's Top 100 since I've been to the company for 13 years. And that gentleman has really changed and shaped my world. And he's paid it forward for me, and my goal is to pay it forward as others have for me. I have been a leader in the senior industry, so we started out selling real estate for the wealthy older adult. It was moving from their home, and so because of that, we got really good at it in our market. And NAR found out, and they gave me this award called the Outstanding Service Award. They give one of these awards away every year to a realtor, and I was given that, and I think it was 2014, a number of years ago. I'm an investor at KW Honolulu, and Maui, and done a lot of presentations. Over closer to 1,500 seminars during my career, because I started doing seminars educating people 6 months after becoming a licensed realtor. That's a different story. I'll tell you more about that. Anyways, a lot of failure went along the way, and through failure we learn. And today we're going to talk about some of those things we learned about. We have sold a lot of real estate, over $1 billion of real estate, over 1,500 units. And most importantly, we've never failed a 1031 exchange. And we've done a lot of them. We're closer to 400 1031 exchanges, and we've never failed. And this is the market. This is how you're going to generate more income and have a different life and different business. Once you understand how to attract and serve the wealthy and attract and serve those that have a lot of wealth in real estate, you're gonna want to stay in that space. Okay. Some information regarding contact information. Feel free to check that out. So what's our goal today? I want to talk about questions and how questions can put you in a position of strength. And what I've learned over the last 20 years is my secret sauce actually not only is knowledge of these things that the wealthy need to know and me bringing value to them, therefore they're willing to pay me for it, but also because I'm able to ask the right question and guide somebody down the path. And today we'll talk a lot about that because I truly believe that every single person would like to buy, but every single person doesn't want to be sold to. And that's unfortunately how the real estate industry has brought training to the world, as they teach you what to say, right? What do you say? I'm here to suggest to you that you want to think about what you want to ask. And that's a bit different because when you ask somebody something, two things will happen. Number one, I'll never be wrong because it's not my answer, it's their answer, right? And number two is I won't get rejected. Why? Because I'm not telling them to do anything. I'm asking, right? And so what you'll find through spending some time with us and in our training, you'll realize that if you show up a little differently, you're going to add value just in that alone. And then with higher value, you're going to command more money. Your commissions are going to go higher. You're going to make, I would say, you'll have more apples because we don't use the other word. And then understanding how to eliminate capital gains tax is really crucial because that's the magic sauce for wealthy. See, if you want to bring value to the wealthy, it's about keeping their money in their pocket. And the number one enemy for the wealthy and number one enemy to generational wealth is capital gains taxes. And if you don't understand capital gains taxes, then you're just selling real estate for your benefit and not for the client's benefit. Think about this. Why do people not ask those questions regarding their taxes, regarding the client's capital gains taxes, when I'm going to show you that it's actually not that hard to do. Right? And in our classes, we're going to dive much deeper into this. And finally, my goal is to inspire you to take action. If you think that if there's a gap in your world and your business and your knowledge, your experience, and you'd like that, at the end of this, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for a fast track class. And we encourage you to do that. So questions are going to put you in a position of strength, right? Because guess what? If I ask you a question, you're going to answer me, right? And by the way, if you spend any time with me, if I ask a question, I won't allow you to not answer me. Why? Because I'm going to make it uncomfortable for you to do that, right? Pregnant pauses is the magic sauce, because if you ask a question and they don't answer you, then you can make it uncomfortable as long as you're okay with that uncomfortable pregnant pause, right? Because really, how do you learn something about somebody without asking them a question? See, what realtors are taught is you go in and you say these things to somebody, right? But when you do that, what do you learn? What do you want to learn, right? You want to learn that they want you. You want to learn that they have gaps or problems in their world that you can solve, right? And these magic questions can lead you to appointments and agreements. What we do in our world, we break the world of real estate down to two functions, simply two functions, right? Number one is getting the appointment, and number two is getting an agreement. See, if you can't get the appointment, what's the chances of you getting an agreement? Well, if you don't get to an agreement, you're not going to make money, right? So if we all agree to that, then let's put a narrow focus on what matters most to you at that moment. Gary Keller tells us, be appropriate in the moment, right? And these are the moments that we're going to talk about with your clients. Then these questions are going to show people that you care, right? That they can feel that they can trust you. When you spend time with a client, and if you're the one talking more versus them, they're not going to trust you. If you allow them to talk more and you consistently ask questions and they talk the most of the time, for some reason at the end of that conversation, they're going to like you. Why? Because you cared enough about them. And so understanding how to do that matters. And it brings clarity to motivation. So the number one thing I realized in real estate, to make money, is you got to qualify your lead. Qualify your lead. What do you mean by that, Dan? Well, you can talk to anybody you want, right? But we only have a finite amount of time we want to work every day. So if we have a finite amount of time we want to work every day, we got to figure out, well, I want to spend time with the most qualified people, not anybody. And most realtors show up in this world, they just talk to anybody, right? And yeah, you do enough of that, it's going to work. But what if you could qualify people? Right? And I'm going to show you some simple questions how to qualify people to understand if you want to spend more time with them or not. Right? So some of the questions I like to ask is, what's causing you to want to sell? If somebody says to us, yeah, I think I want to sell, what's causing you? So changing the language to not why are you selling is what's causing. So the word cause is really important. Why? Because there's always a reason for you and I to do something. Something caused us to do what we did. Something caused us to feel the way we feel. So what's causing is a forward-moving question. You want to get them to start talking. And in your ideal world, when would you like to sell by? So then you're going to get a better qualification on timing. Are they in a rush, or they don't really care? Where are you planning on moving to? Why is that important? Because then it shows that you're not only concerned about you making money, you're concerned about that person transitioning life. They're going somewhere, right? If you're selling their house, they're going somewhere. So where's the somewhere? And maybe they need help. We get a lot of referral business because people move from city to city, right? And we can get referral business that way. Another way to generate income, right, as a realtor, right? What are the three things you're looking for in an agent, right? That was something that I learned because over time, I didn't ask that question up until about 8 years ago when I got schooled, because I thought I was going to get a listing not far from my house. And I said a lot of things. I told her how great we were. I told her what we would do for her. I told her that we're the best thing for her. I told her I'm her neighbor. I told her I like cats. She liked cats. I told her all these things of what I thought she wanted to hear. And then 2 days later, I get a phone call and she says, "Oh, thanks so much for your time. You're a really nice person. Lovely, just a lovely time. And I choose somebody else." And I had an intern with me, and I asked the intern, I said, "So what do you think we did wrong?" And she's the one, a 21-year-old kid, taught me this lesson. She said to me, "I wonder what she was interested to learn." Like, aha, I we learn through failure. I failed to get a 3
Dan, I think we lost you for a second.
million listing that I should have. Why? I didn't ask her what was asked the same thing. If I know it's things you're looking for in an agent, really, that's all I. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Everybody? Okay, I'm gonna leave my camera off. You don't need to see my ugly face anyways.
Yeah,
Um,
good call. Sounds good.
and maybe this will work better. I'm in a new office in a new house, and we're working on some stuff. Anyways, if you're looking for investors, ladies and gentlemen, there is no other better question than, do you own more than one property? How did I get to that question? Because there was a time that I asked, do you own an investment property? And the lady says, no. And at the end of the conversation, she says to me, what about my other property? I go, well, what do you mean other property? You said you don't have an investment property. That was my aha. You see, our clients, they may not call it investment properties. Why? Because it was her mom's house that's been vacant for 10 years that she wants to sell. But had I have not have dug deeper, there's one of my mentors, a good friend of mine, Colette Ching. She's our regional director. She taught me an acronym: WTO, WTO. Watao, watao. She says it much better than I do. But what's the opportunity within the opportunity? Right? What's the opportunity within the opportunity? So every single person that you speak to, if you were to ask them that simple question, do you own more than one property? Guess what? You'll find investors. Why? Because every third home is a rental property. And every landlord, the guy that has these, they have anywhere from the average of 3 properties. So if they have them, this is how you find them. And if you're talking to older adults, you're going to find that they don't want them anymore. Then it's a burden, but they don't want to sell it because of capital gains taxes. And this is where you come in. When you understand capital gains taxes, you understand cost basis. When you understand capital gains tax calculations, when you understand 1031 exchanges, your world will change. You'll add greater value than any other realtor in your space. You become the trusted advisor looking after somebody else's money, right? We're the financial guide for real estate, right? We help people with building wealth and protecting wealth and transferring it, right? Here's the next question is, and many of you don't ask this question because I travel the country and I've found maybe 2 or 3 people out of thousands, tens of thousands. Do you understand your capital gains tax liability when you sell your real estate? Why do realtors not ask that question? I can tell you there's 2 reasons. Number one, they're scared because they don't know it, right? They don't have knowledge enough to understand that. And by the way, that's the number one thing the wealthy want to know, that you know how to protect their money. Number one, they don't know that. Number two, they don't know how to calculate it, right? Number three, they don't know what to do with it once they find out if they have capital gains tax liability. Why? Because they don't know a 1031 exchange for investment properties. And they don't know the two special ways you can defer all the way to eliminate capital gains taxes with your primary residence when it exceeds your exemption amount of 500,000. This is the information the wealthy want, ladies and gentlemen. I've taught classes to the Hawaii Financial Planners Association. Why? Because financial planners need to know how to protect their clients financially with real estate, because they don't do real estate. That's what you and I do. And those are your best partners. When you understand who the wealthy goes to, you'll learn that these are the people that are going to send you business. They do it for me every week. I get referrals every week from financial planners, trust attorneys, CPAs. Why? Because they know I can help their client keep their money, right? Because our promise, we say to our clients, our promise is to look out for your best interests before our own. And this is an example of what that looks like. I'm asking you questions about your money in it. I don't get paid anymore, right? I don't get any of that money. I'm here to help you keep your money. And by the way, I don't ask that. Most realtors don't ask that because it doesn't impact their money and it doesn't impact what we do for our clients, right? We can still do the same job, but this is how you separate yourself. You want to differentiate yourself. You need to understand this. You're going to want to in order to elevate your knowledge in business. So when you add value, you increase your compensation and value to the client. We on the commission basis, we get more apples than market by far, by far. Yeah. Why? Because people don't question me and my value, right? When it comes time to sign listing agreements and buyer rep agreements, clients don't. If your client is trying to take your money from the amount of apples that they would normally pay you traditionally, that means you haven't provided enough value, ladies and gentlemen. If you bring enough value, you will earn that compensation. And so what you want to do first is you want to provide solutions to their problems. Number one, you got to figure out what their problems are, right? And how do you do that? By asking questions, right? So first thing is you understand how to ask questions. The second thing is you provide solutions to their problems. Because when you ask the simple question is, how's it working for you? That's another magic question. For any property, anybody, first question is, where do you live? Second question is, how's it working for you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your qualifying questions because you want to pull out pain from people's lives. When you pull out pain, then they're going to talk about pain, and then you get them talking about it, and then you said, if we could help you, would you? Right? And that's how you're going to get more appointments. It's actually quite simple once you understand that your job is not to sell anything. Your job is to provide a solution to a problem that somebody has. See, if somebody doesn't have problems, they're not going to need us, right? This is how you qualify the people you talk to. You got to go find people with problems. House is too small, house is too big. I don't want my investment property. It's not bringing enough income, whatever it is. But the first thing for most folks is fixing up their home and getting it ready for sale. So we do construction management consulting. Clients actually pay us for that. It's a consultation service that we provide all the way to building up houses. And I have a contractor to help me do that. So number one for you is you need to have solutions for fixing things up. Kitchens, bath, paint, flooring, roof, gutters, pool, landscape, everything in a home, windows. You got to have a solution for it. When you do, you automatically bring value, because the next realtor is going to say, oh, when you finish renovating your home, call me. Well, you already got the listing. He ain't calling anybody else. Why? Because you're providing a solution to his problem. The second thing is what the wealthy want is they want to know that you can do something in a system. It's not like, oh, let me try this time. That's what you need. You need good systems, because the systems, they provide consistent results. A simple system we use is we borrowed this from Jason and Laura Burns from the Burns team in Pasadena, California, the 10-day blitz, right? We have a system to how we bring a property to the market. When you show this to clients, the calendar is our magic tool, because Once they agree to us helping them clear it out, to clean it, to stage it, to do the photos, to go live, to have an open house and second open house and all offers are due, we create an auction, we'll present the offers. When we do this mathematically, statistically, if it's priced well, 80, 90% of the time, that happens, right? And when you do 100 of these things a year, now you built some systems around it. And if you don't have that volume yet, this is where you start building your systems, right? Then the biggest thing that I believe, the greatest value we can bring to our client, see, because we're all good at what we do, selling real estate. The best value, the highest value you can bring to a client is making sure you understand capital gains tax and helping them keep their money. I can't tell you how many, because I've been doing seminars for so long, how many people have come up to me every single time I do a 1031 exchange seminar. That's every month. They tell me, I wish I met you sooner. And then they go on to tell me, well, I had to pay capital gain tax and I didn't know about that. And they had a realtor, obviously, that never asked them any questions and didn't educate them and didn't make sure that they were clear on what life looks like after you get your commission, right? So this is how you're going to build lifelong clients, and they're going to tell other people. The wealthy talk to the wealthy. And so what we really do is real estate's wealth, right? We make sure they're clear on that, and we help them unlock it, and we help them reposition it to whatever matters most for them via a 1031 exchange. So the solutions we provide, the way we add value is, one, we remove the burden of owning something because they don't want it anymore. We call it the terrible T's: the tenants, the toilets, the trash, the taxes. Now we got to add I to that, the rising insurance costs of owning an investment property. People are now reconsidering it. After you reach the age of 65, 75, 85, you get to a point in life where you're not building anymore. You're protecting and transferring wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were to stay in that space of the wealthy that want to transfer wealth, you're going to have a big business like ours. Because this is the only model I know is focused on how do you provide solutions with the people with the most amount of real estate. Why? I'm just going after listings. The buyers come easily. Right? For some reason, the slide didn't move. Can somebody move the next slide? For buyers, what we want to do is bring clarity to what's their motivation, right? What's causing you to want to buy? Remember the cause question. What's causing you to want to buy? And you got to get in their heart and in their head. See, we all come to the conclusion that they want it because they want it from the lens that we see the world. And that's your number one reason that you don't ask enough questions is, frankly, and this is going to hurt a little bit, it's our ego, our human ego. We believe we know the answer, therefore we don't ask, right? Or our ego says, I don't want to ask because I don't want to sound like I don't know, right? So either way, you're not going to win, right? You get to a point in life, you wake up every day and you ask yourself one simple question: what do I need to know today that'll add value to somebody today? If you wake up every single day asking yourself questions, what's going to happen is it'll build a habit, and that habit will allow you to ask other people questions. Because I've done this so much all over the country, people always say, Dan, you ask really good questions. Says, yeah, because I'm curious, because I care, because I know what I want to know, right? And when you get to that point in life where you know what you want to know, then you stop being interesting and start being interested. Learn more about others, and you will find ways to help others, which means you'll have greater value, which means your world's going to show up a little different than the other people. Because the other question I ask yourself, buyers, is in your world, you notice I use that all the time, in your ideal world, when would you like to be in your new home? And find out what their motivation is. The same thing on the sell side, no different. What are you looking for in your agent? And I would actually say, what are the top 3 things you're looking for in your agent? You know, when I ask people that question, they get stumped. They don't know how to answer it. And so I got to give them some time. If you did know, what would it look like? Right? And then they start talking to me, and then they start revealing it. And then that's all I talk about. Here's another one that in every market's going to be different, right? Um, there are protection clauses in pretty much every contract in every uh, municipality. And in our market, there's 7 ways to cancel a contract. Well, there could be 35 different ways, but we keep it simple. We batch them into 7 different areas. Why do we ask that question? Do you understand how the 7 ways to cancel a contract? Well, I started this when I first got into real estate because I told myself I needed to be the advocate. Well, if I'm the advocate, I know how to protect the client from making a bad decision. And so I learned the contract. I pulled it out of the contract, and now I ask people, well, from way back 20 years ago, do you understand your 7 ways to cancel a contract? Nobody has said yes. Well, I take that back. A friend of mine said yes, and he said 5. I said, no, actually, there's 7. Would you like to learn them? Or no, I asked him, tell me what they were. And he couldn't. Nobody in your marketplace understands or doesn't know how to cancel, best advocate. Or number 2 is they know you to cancel. See, if you cancel the contract, the realtor doesn't get paid any longer, does he? No. Our promise is to look out for your best interests before our own. We show people that looks like. This is how you're going to add value, and this is how your compensation rises. Right? And if you could, would you? That's a magic question everybody should be using today. Because you can put anything you want in the middle, ladies and gentlemen. If you could, I wanted to buy a bigger house. If you could buy a bigger house, would you? The answer is going to be yes. You can structure the question so I already know the answer. That's what I do. I already know what the answer is going to be because I'm going to guide somebody down the path, right? Okay, next slide. With higher perceived value, you can command more money. And that's what today was all about, right? How do you command more money? You got to bring value. Next slide. So if you have your phone, you may want to take it out. You can click on the QR code and register. Because you came to this class, you get 15% off. If you do that, you'll get a special code, Web 115. But what this is it's 4 1-hour classes. And we broke it down to the 4 major areas that we talk about. Number 1 is understanding the opportunity. How big is the opportunity in this market space, right? Number 2 is how do you become a senior relocation specialist? What does that look like, right? What value does that bring? I can tell you this, when older adults have to leave their home, they don't know where to go. What if you knew where to go? And what if they knew you knew where to go? They would come to you. This is how you attract them. Right? We've been doing these classes called Senior Living Options for almost 20 years now. And people come and we built relationships with the retirement communities. And we have brochures in retirement communities. And retirement communities send us clients because they want to have us help them sell their homes so they can move into a retirement community. Well, we're their partner. Right? In one retirement community in Hawaii, we out of 180 units in 2 years, we moved in 100 families in that building. Provide a solution to the problem. And their first problem with their home is their stuff. Yeah. So here's another note. Here's your bonus tip. NASM, write this down. NASMM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. These folks are designed to take care of that client before anybody knows they're going to sell. Why? Because an older adult is going to clear out their stuff and then figure out they're going to sell or not. Sometimes they think they might want to keep it. Right. So senior relocation services are huge. If you like spending time with older adults and you like caring for them, this is a market that I can show you how to build it very quickly. And then the investor, the guy that owns more than one property, you're gonna learn how the 1031 exchange works, how this thing called a DST, a Delaware Statutory Trust, works. That's a major tool that's helped us get listings. I would say at least one to three a month. Okay. 1 to 3 a month with this wealthy market. And then legacy planning. that can grow your business, not only for your clients, but for your business. And the last one would be learning knowledge about wills, trusts, and probate. Why is that important? Let me give you some data. 2.1 million older adults are going to die this year. 80% of them own real estate. That's 1.68 million listings going to hit the market in the form of a trust sale or a probate sale. And if you understand how this works, the wealthy will seek you out because they have problems, right? Many of the problems are unfortunate. Realtors today are not equipped to answer questions or understand the difference between a will and a trust. They don't understand the process of probate. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter how good the industry is, how good the market is, how good the economy is. Doesn't matter what president's in place. I can tell you that this area is recession proof. And NAR tells us that 53% of all listings are baby boomers and their parents. So if you're looking for listings, then you want to go find a problem and solve it. I can tell you this demographic has problems and they need people like us to solve them for them. And when you do, you will be compensated greatly. That's all I had for today. I'm 2 minutes over time. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for your time. We hope you had a great day. Aloha.